The daycare director messaged, "Your son hurt 3 children today. Please collect him and don't return." I was in a client meeting when my phone lit up with the message. I excused myself, hands already shaking, and called the number back immediately. The director's voice was cold and professional. "Mrs. Lin, we have a zero-tolerance policy for violence. 3 separate incidents today. We need you here within the hour to collect Aiden's belongings." I grabbed my purse and ran to my car, my mind racing through every worst-case scenario. Aiden was 4 years old, barely tall enough to reach the bathroom sink. When I arrived, the director was waiting in her office with 3 sets of parents. Their kids had bandages on their arms and faces. One little girl had a black eye that made my stomach drop. The parents turned to look at me with expressions that ranged from anger to disgust. "Your son is a danger to other children," one father said, his voice shaking with rage. The director pulled up footage on her computer. It showed Aiden hitting a little girl in the face, then shoving a boy so hard he fell into a bookshelf, then biting another child's arm when a teacher intervened. The timestamps were all within 90 minutes. Aiden was sitting alone in the director's waiting area, hugging his knees to his chest. His favorite dinosaur shirt had paint stains all over it. He looked so small and scared that my heart broke, but I also couldn't reconcile that tiny boy with the footage I'd just watched. "Aiden, what happened today? Why did you hurt those kids?" He looked up at me with tears streaming down his face. "I had to stop them, Mommy. They were hurting the little ones." I knelt down beside him, confused. "What do you mean? Those kids you hit were the same age as you." He shook his head violently. "No, the little ones, the babies. They were hitting the babies and nobody would listen to me when I tried to tell the teachers." The director interrupted us. "Mrs. Lin, there are no babies in that classroom. Everyone in Aiden's group is between 3 and 5 years old. I think he's confused about what happened." But Aiden wasn't confused. He kept insisting he saw kids hitting babies, that the babies were crying, that the teachers weren't doing anything about it. I took him home, wondering if my son was having some kind of psychotic break. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the footage in my mind, trying to understand what could make a gentle kid who cried when butterflies died suddenly attack 3 children in one morning. At 2 a.m., I started going through Aiden's backpack looking for clues. That's when I found it. A small notebook tucked into the inside pocket with drawings that made my blood run cold. Page after page of stick figures. Big ones hitting little ones crying, red marks all over the little ones. One page had words scribbled at the top in a child's handwriting that said, "Baby room next door." I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the daycare's website. Aiden's classroom was right next to the infant room. They shared a wall. The next morning, I didn't go to the pediatrician. I went straight to the daycare and demanded to speak with the infant room staff. The director tried to turn me away, but I pushed past her and walked directly to the baby room. Through the window, I could see 2 teachers I didn't recognize, and the babies looked terrified. One infant had a bruise on her cheek. Another was crying in a corner while a teacher scrolled through her phone. I called the police right there in the hallway. The investigation moved fast once Child Protective Services got involved. Cameras in the infant room had been mysteriously broken for weeks, which the director claimed she didn't know about. But when they interviewed other staff members, 3 teachers came forward, saying they'd reported concerns about the infant room and were told to mind their business. The 2 infant room workers were arrested within 5 days. Phones full of complaints from parents they'd hidden from the director. Medical records showing multiple babies with unexplained injuries over the past 6 months. One baby had a fractured rib that the parents were told happened from rolling over wrong. The director resigned when it came out that she'd ignored multiple reports because the infant teachers were her sister and her niece. Aiden had been telling the truth the entire way through. He couldn't see into the baby room, but he could hear everything through the shared wall. The crying, the harsh voices, the sounds of babies being hurt. When he tried to tell his teachers, they brushed him off. So he did the only thing a 4-year-old could think of to make adults pay attention. He made himself impossible to ignore. The 3 kids he'd attacked weren't random. They were the children of the 2 infant room teachers and the director's assistant, who all knew what was happening and said nothing. Aiden had heard their parents' voices through the wall during drop-off and recognized them in his classroom. He couldn't explain it in words that adults would understand, so he acted out in the most dramatic way possible. He wasn't being violent. He was screaming for help the only way he knew how. The parents who'd been so angry that first day came back to our house crying and apologizing. The father who'd called my son dangerous broke down in our living room. "He saved my nephew. My sister's baby was in that infant room. Your son is a hero." The daycare offered us a settlement to keep quiet, but we went to the media instead.